Story number 2. Understanding the full scale of the Trump effect. Folks, there's been a lot of things that have happened in the course of almost 4 years with this president. And analysts have come up, well, I've come up with what they call the Trump effect, and you're probably starting to hear the term. And what the Trump effect basically is how the president, what we found, affects the everyday lives of everyday Americans, the economy, the world. And what we found out is that is there something to this new theory or scientific exploration that me myself have explored. Now, we've seen things happening at the border. There was a story that says as border apprehensions decline for a fifth consecutive month, migrants change too. So they're saying that the border they're starting to decline. The activity at the border is starting to decline. Now, could this be because of the Trump effect? Another story. Trump wants insurers and hospitals to show real prices to patients. Now, you look at this. Now, what if people start seeing the price of their bills? Would this discourage them in going into the hospital? Does Trump's stance on the border discourage people from crossing the border? The Trump effect. Trump demands 400% more for U.S. forces in South Korea. Now, this is money. So, think about this. 400% more? Would that discourage people from going into ceaseless wars? So, we're starting to see this. Is this the Trump effect? Well, you could even look at China's economy. I think if they're talking about this correctly, I think they may be talking about 400% more troops in South Korea. So they're talking about four. So even with that, putting more boots on the ground, does this change anything? So you look at these stories and how they're talking about how this is what we call the leadership effect trickling down to other parts of the economy and other parts of society. Now, Trump plays a big part of that because he's in the Oval Office, and people watch these things all over the world. Roger Stone, a Trump ally, convicted of lying to Congress. The Trump effect. Look at how many people have lost their jobs in Congress, have decided to steer away from the Republican Party. We've even got, I think it's Bloomberg, who's decided that he's going to run as a Democrat. So you look at this now. Trump is pushing some buttons on this meter here, and it has people wondering: is there something? Could this be another way to engage? We've seen it with a story like Russia tampering with the elections. Could this be a new strategic way of changing the culture around the world by affecting the mind and the mental health of the president? Think about that. CNN says Trump made 67 false claims last week. Out of all those lies, how many people believe that he's telling the truth? Think about that. We just had a man a few weeks ago pour acid in a Peruvian citizen's face. Oh. Could this be something we're coming on to? Why aren't wages rising faster even with low unemployment, trade war, weaker economy, and these are suspected to be some of the reasons. Now, this is what we call, what economists are looking at as the Trump effect, where you give tax cuts to the wealthy, you let them spend the money, and you let the middle class and the poor be able to reap the benefits. But there's a question in this: who has to pick up the tab? Technically, the middle class will have to pick up the tab because the poor are not investing. So if you give the wealthy a tax cut, it puts more burden on the middle class. So look at this. So why aren't wages rising? Because if you give a tax cut to the wealthy, you could probably see what's happening in this mixture, in this chemistry set, or in this math equation. But this is all due to the Trump effects. This is Trump's economy. Under Obama's economy, we saw a lot of Government bailouts. We saw the regulation of Wall Street, regulating of the banks, people not getting loans. Now we're seeing a different type of strategic planning when it comes to tampering with the buttons on the economy. Trump says U.S. left troops in Syria only for the oil. The Trump effect. A little bit more business rather than sympathy, rather than what the love of that comes along with war and fighting beside your allies. This is a little bit different. Leaving troops to protect oil rather than the citizens. This is a little bit different, but it shows you that this is a different style of leadership, different policies, different way of doing things. This is what we call the Trump effect. The cost to become a U.S. citizen is set to be going up 61%, according to the Washington Post. This is another thing you got to look after. If you make the costs higher to be a citizen, would that draw more people not to want to become a citizen? So we're seeing a lot of switches being turned on or turned off in this, in what I like to say, which is the Trump effect. So we will either have 4 more years of a new president under the Trump effect, or we will have 4 more years of adding more to the Trump effect, which is tweets, slashing out, firings, resigns, all the people resigning. So this is all under the Trump effect. Supreme Court may side with Trump on the Dreamers, on DACA. That's another thing. Now, when we talk about immigrants or migration or Mexicans, however you want to call it, Nigerians, people who come to the country, try to get citizenship, have a child, the child is left here. So these are all new revelations within the Trump way of living, the new way that we've seen, which is the Trump awareness, the Trump effect. And that's why this story number 2, that's why I crept into the top 8. We have to look at this full scale because we're headed into another election season, or this president could even be impeached. But the way it's looking is that he's already created such a different swinging in the pendulum that it's unbelievable. Adam Schiff says Trump's potentially impeachment offenses may have included bribery. We'll see how that turns out. Trump makes no promises with China trade deal. So looking at this, and we're starting to see how beneficial this story is to the masses, because it shows you that with leadership comes many different sides, many different swings in the pendulum, many different ways to motivate people, many different ways to get what you want out of people. Leadership is different. The style. They say, I'm still reading a book about Condoleezza Rice's, I think it's No Higher Honor. She's talking about how most of the time the president is always by himself because he's in a different state of, it has to be in a different state of mind. But we see different styles of leadership, and under this president, we're definitely seeing what I like to call the Trump effect in full effect, because it's changing a lot of people's lives across the world, the way leaders are starting to think, dictators, how people are running their own economies. It's even changing the strategic plans of a lot of administrations. Some people are just waiting to see if he gets out of office, and some people are starting to engage now, and that's what we're starting to see. But we will see how story number 2, the headline, understanding the full scale of the Trump effect, how it develops as we get deeper and deeper into the impeachment trials, until the pendulum swinging from the right to the left, and how the Republican Party is justifying every action that this president makes. Well, I wouldn't say all of the Republicans, but the majority of his base is justifying all the actions of this president. That's why story number 2 made it in the top 8. You're the Mediator, me, Brian West. Where's my duty every week to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories. I'm not here to hurt you, just to keep you informed. Like I said, I was, as a child, raised up to the sun, told to mediate to the masses, looking in the mirror every day saying, you can do this. you could give everybody the top 8 headlines and developing news stories so they can feel good about their news and being informed, learning, enlightenment, learning something new. But if you want to contribute, if you want to help out, it doesn't take much. METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, method80.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program. Now, I have to remind you, I just stay in the middle, swinging from the right to the left, watching the pendulum, trying to figure out which stories can keep you grounded, keep you on a level mind. It can get harsh out there in the field of news. You may hear something discouraging, like a loved one, someone passing to the next life. But I'm here to give you what you need, to give you your uplifting, your vitamin news the way you like it, freshly baked, freshly squeezed, with a little bit of love to it. So if you want to contribute, it doesn't take much. I have to remind you that I just stay in the middle. The media, the people on the front lines, they deserve most of the credit. Look at me, I'm making love to the camera, I'm smiling at you. So if you want to contribute, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, method80.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program. Or you can go to the website, check out the stories that almost made it in, did make it in, do your own research. You may have your own radio program, your own blog, whatever you do, I'm here for you. So if you want to contribute, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, method80.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program. Every little thing counts.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is